Cruz, who's a consultant and the CEO and founder of Complete Game, a developer of systems and products that enhance the lives of players on and off the field. Hey, Rob, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Oh, wonderful, man. It's good to see you, man. I'm glad you're here. You're the CEO of Complete Game. What is Complete Game?
So Complete Game is what started out as it's funny. It started out as a book. That was my first publication. It was entitled, yep, Complete Game: The Emotional Dynamics of In-Game Focus. And then I decided to brand the book title as also my company title.
Yes.
Because I was breaking away from a different company that I was involved in, and I was trying to get a fresh start, but I wanted to have my ideals, my values incorporated into how I did my work. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you have a business partner, it doesn't always work out that way because you gotta share values with someone else.
Oh man, thank you for that. To talk about you're a highly sought after consultant. I mean, from recreation leagues, from high school, college to the professional ranks. Why do you think that your teaching methods and your systems are so popular?
Well, first of all, I thank God that I am that so sought after. I believe that I always try to do things a little bit differently. Like when they zig, I zag. When they zag, I zig.
Yeah.
I always try to set myself apart and be authentic. Mm-hmm. And I bring a certain energy level also to what I do. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a couple of different things. There's knowledge, it's communication skills, energy level, presentation, all combined in a way that if I'm talking to third graders or I'm talking to Ivy League graduates, everybody's going to be able to understand what's going on. But at their own level, they'll understand it. So even if I'm explaining or I'm teaching something complex, I'm gifted enough, thank God, to be able to break it down too, as complex as it is, so that everybody leaves there with a better understanding than they had when they first came in the room.
No, man, I want to talk about one of your books, The Complete Game. Mm-hmm. Man, I this book, I was like, where was this book when I was playing ball in high school? I mean, this book could have helped me out tremendously. It's really, really well written. So many different nuggets in it. Actually, as soon as I read it, I sent a copy to my son because I'm like, wow, you got to get this. You got to get this. So I'm hoping he reads it. But it's really good. You said, I'm not out to change your swing, just your mind.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I can elaborate on that. So my mindset is like something I really, really am passionate about. I'm passionate about helping to develop mindsets because so many things will change.
Yes.
But as things change, we have to be able to adapt to those things as they change. So it's not always the thing, but it's what you think about the thing.
Right.
Whatever it is, sports, off the court, on the court, relationships, whatever it is, job, whatever. So I feel like so many times, a lot of the young people that I'm working with, they get cheated out of what could have been because they had the wrong mindset and how they approached it.
Yes. And
if only they had a certain mindset and they understood how to look at things differently.
Yes.
It could have been different. It could have been a different outcome.
No, I mean, again, as you read the book, you one of the things that you said in the book, you said we have to keep the bat and ball involved in the mental skills of the teaching process. Mm-hmm. Man, yeah, go into that a little bit.
So I think, and it's funny because that statement is so true even today. And I wrote that when I wrote the book a few years back. And so right now, everybody's just trying to get a little bit too deep, right? Mm-hmm. So in sports, it's about athleticism. a lot of it is happening on an unconscious level. So it's like whatever happened to athletic instincts? Yeah, I got form, but what happened to creativity? What happened to imagination? What happened to a little bit of freedom in how I want to move and create my own move?
Yes.
So I think sometimes you see players on the court, you say that player looks like that player has really been taught. That player took lessons. I can see that player took lessons. But
Mhm.
that player over there
Mhm.
is athletic and unpredictable and fluid and quick and
Mhm.
adaptable.
Mhm.
That's a whole different player. So sometimes you can overcoach, or you can coach the athleticism out of a player, but being able to incorporate the mental game and the deeper things of the game into the athleticism without hindering or disabling the player's
Because you
athletic
lose,
ability.
you lose sometimes the athlete. I know as an athlete, sometimes I was
Absolutely.
just like, give me the ball, just give me, and it was so much, right? So much theory, so much stuff
Mhm.
that you're thinking about too many things. And what you really want to do is focus in on, okay, what you need to do at hand and let it flow, so to speak. Um, you mentioned in the book, an athlete is never prepared for the next level without first being tested.
Yeah. I live in Westchester. You grew up in Westchester. You know how it is here. It's Cottlesville. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get it at home sometimes, because the school system is going to coddle you. You know, if you're fortunate enough to play for a coach that's tough enough to allow you to go through the adversity, if you're unfortunate enough to grow up in a home where parents let you fall down and pick yourself back up, then you got something, because the adversity is the platform that's going to elevate you to the next level. Without it, because you're going to have adversity, but it's the small little adversities and little wins that we get and little victories that we get along the way that prepare us to know that, hey, I can go through something. I can go through some stuff. But a lot of athletes and a lot of people in general, they can't go through nothing.
I mean, that was me, actually, quite
Mhm.
honestly. Starting cornerback, University of Buffalo, and I lost confidence in practice.
Hmm.
In practice, I lost confidence because simple play, 5 yard out. We were doing like a goal line stand,
Mhm.
and the tight end, huge dude, I'm right on him, throws the ball to him. I can't get the ball out of his hand, and he's just like, "Give me that," right? And so, I mean, you would understand that, but to me, it was crushing, because it was like, wait, I mean, I never experienced, you know what I'm saying? Being trucked, or I never really experienced that.
Mhm.
And so that was tough as an athlete. And you might say, oh, that was just simple. But like you said, if you haven't been tested, if you haven't, picked yourself up, then it could be problems.
Like, you want to go to war with people that are battle tested. Bottom line,
Bottom line. Bottom line.
you want to be in a marriage with a person that's been battle tested. You want to be you
Woo!
want you. I'll just say you. It's just the truth.
Well, I mean, we can go about the relationship. The relationship, I think, is a testing also, and it's also a knowledge as well,
Mhm.
right? Because sometimes we go into these things not knowing what it's all about, and so we have a fairy tale mentality about it, and it's work. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? And so
Mhm.
even the mentality, I think, could have helped me. Like, hey, you're going to have breakdowns. You're going to miss a pass. You're going to get burned. You know what I'm saying? How about
Right.
that? That's a novel idea. Guess what? Somebody's going to burn you. And what do you do when you get burned? Right?
Yeah, I think resiliency is a real thing, you know,
It
and
is.
being able to come. It's not about the failure. It's about how you're going to come back.
Exactly.
Failure is inevitable,
Exactly.
you know. So when I'm working with my athletes, you know, I have to. The practice session has to be something that challenges them and pushes them to the edge of almost what they can't do, right on the edge of what they can't do. And then they actually do it. I'm like, okay, good. Now I got to make it even harder. Because if I don't do that, because now the game is easy. If practice is hard.
No, you did mention that. I mean, in the book, you said, yeah, no, you mentioned that in the book about how, sometimes coaches don't use that practice time to really develop the in-game focus that's necessary, right? Because the practice is just
too laid back. They're on the heels. There's three things you can be. You could be a person or an athlete that plays on their heels. You can play in the middle of your feet, or you can play on the balls of your feet. And that's true in not just sports, that's true in life. There's people, like, you see them, they're on the heels. They flat-footed. Wow. They're on their front foot. They're ready. So yeah. I try to be as vigilant as I can as an entrepreneur and as a businessman. And I also try to encourage my athletes and try to prepare them to be, because I know what it is to fight. Like, you got to get in there. Okay, you committed to this school. Now you want to get on the field when you get there. It ain't over.
It ain't over.
But if you do get on the field when you get there, you got to do it again next year, because somebody else is coming in and they want to get on the field. It's competitive.
No, again, I think you have an excellent philosophy about looking at these things that's going to help players in life and on the court, or on the sport, or the diamond. You also believe a lot in technology. You also use technology and analytics. Can you go into that a little bit about, because some people shy away from it, but you definitely embrace technology and analytics in what you do.
So it goes back to my philosophy about when they zig, I'm going to zag. I always had to set myself apart.
Yeah.
To make sure that I had an advantage and an edge on the game, in its totality. So years ago, I mean, any technology is a stopwatch. I mean, okay, somebody's sprinting, start, stop. Technology. We're using it as a tool to measure something, because I know that person's fast.
Yeah.
But now I know just how fast with the stopwatch, right? So that's an idea. Cameras are a form of technology.
Yeah.
I've always tried to have I was buying 3-4 cameras a year. And it happens so fast. You got another 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, 240. Oh my God, now the phone's got them. So now it's like, I'm trying to keep up. It's expensive. Yes. But in order for me to be able to have that edge, because now I'm able to slow it down. I'm filming at a high frame rate. I'm able to slow it down and get details in the slow motion. I'm able to see things that the human eye could never see. The human eye only sees at 30 frames per second. We got cameras now that are shooting at 500 frames per second.
Wow.
So, that's also the bad. We do video analysis. And through the years, because of my my love for tech, which kind of started when I was a kid, taking apart vacuum cleaners and phones in the house, looking at, how's this thing work? Putting it back together. I go by the mall, stop by Radio Shack. I'd be in Radio Shack just walking around all day in the mall.
Oh man!
you remember the mall?
Oh yes, sir. Yes,
downstairs, sir. You had photo mat over there. No, not photo mat. You had when I had the posters.
Yes, sir.
Poster mat downstairs.
Yes.
Then it was Radio Shack over there on the side. I'd be in Radio Shack looking at the seats.
Oh man, no.
So now as an adult, I never stopped doing that. I'm still doing that to this day. So so now just understanding tech and finding new and creative ways to implement tech, and then once we get the data, specifically with hitting, we're measuring pretty much 3 things. We're measuring how the body moves with what we call 3D motion capture.
Okay.
Which 15 years ago we'd have to go to a big studio with expensive cameras and put on these tight suits and with little sensors on our bodies, on our joints and segments of our body, and just to get that data. It was a whole process. So now we're almost to the point where we could do it on a phone with a phone's camera with no sensors. Like, that's how I'm consulting a company right now on that, and we're getting ready to get the patent on this really serious new software that's able to do that without sensors. But right now I'm using a 3D motion capture system that gives us sequencing of the body, what we call a kinematic sequence, which is how the body generates power from the ground up in a what they call angular velocity, which is just a fancy word for rotational speed and sequencing. So we're measuring that because that has an effect on how fast we can swing the bat. And bat speed is bat speed and bat acceleration is something that's important. And we also have technology that helps us to track and measure what the bat's doing, angle, speed, time to collision, and all the way to like milliseconds.
Wow.
And then we're also using what we call launch monitors. And launch monitors help us to be able to determine how hard a ball was hit in miles per hour off the bat, what the spin rate of the ball is in RPMs and rotations per minute. It also gives us what we call spin axis. So if you hit a ball and it's spinning in the wrong direction off the bat, it's going to hook and curve and it's not going to have the distance. So we're able to add and we're able to do like a whole. So I do like a whole. I go in and I work with college programs who maybe have purchased the technology, but they're still having some issues with implementation.
Got
it.
I
go in and I do an assessment of their staff, their resources, how they want to use the equipment, how often they want to use it, and help them develop a plan to be able to execute. And then after that, because it's a lot, so you get that data.
It is.
Now you get the data. Now you got each athlete fits into certain categories based on the data. So now how do we help them? How do you help those athletes to get better so that they're more efficient and effective in how they're performing?
Talking about getting better, you mentioned technology. You talked about a lot of theory out there. What are some of the? Can you give us like 3 mistakes? Mistakes that or myths that players believe that are hindering their game. Mistakes or beliefs that are hindering their game.
And where and like
just in general, I mean, based on your observation, 3 major mistakes or myths that that players are doing and or believing that are hindering their game.
That's a good question. So I think if you had to go for the one, it would probably be somewhere in the middle game area, right? And it would probably be what they think confidence really is, because most people feel as though like, yeah, I have confidence.
Okay.
But when you break it down and you really take a closer look at confidence, true confidence should be bulletproof. But there's this thing out there now masquerading as true confidence, which is actually a false sense of confidence. And I'll give you an example. If I'm only confident when my team is up by 50, and I'm only scoring and I get hot, I'm hitting the ball well when my team is winning by a lot or losing by a lot, that's not a good indicator of true confidence. But last 3 minutes of the game, 6th, 7th inning of a baseball game, where you at? Close game, where you at? And a lot of times it's just, and if for me, when I go in and do because I do a lot of PowerPoint presentations, and I'll do like a team Zoom call with some teams, and I've done that with teams all the way from Rhode Island to Atlanta, Georgia. And we get on a Zoom, the whole team, coaching staff, and I start asking questions to players, just questions. We're on Zoom. Let's be transparent. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how confident are you really when you step into the batter's box? And some of these players are writing down 5. They're putting it on the comments, 5, 4, and I'm looking at the coaches' faces on Zoom like, what? You would never know just how it and I won't even call it insecure, but just how fragile confidence can be. And then I ask the same question in certain situations. If you have 2 strikes, how confident are you? Against this type of pitcher, how confident are you scale of 1 to 10? Now that we've got that out of the way, how you feel about yourself, now we have to figure out why. Because it's not the thing, it's what you think about the thing. That's mindset. So I think confidence is like, and a lot of coaches that I work with I was just on the phone with a college coach down in Tennessee the other day. We were talking about the same thing. Like, it's just like, my kids are just not confident. Because an athlete knows, like, if you point guard and somebody's guarding you, when you got somebody.
Sure enough.
Right? Like, this guy, I got this guy. Oh, just give me the ball. I got him. Because you can read when someone is not confident. Yes, your opponent can smell it.
Yes.
So And a coach that played before can smell it in their players.
Yeah.
Like you can see it on their body, on their countenance. So
but yeah, that coaching, and you know what? I mean, as an athlete, the coaching is so important to instilling confidence too, because, you know, I've been a part of, I mean, but you also talk about that too. Oh man, but sometimes at a certain level, coaches can help with confidence, and they can kind of like, they can kind of jack you up.
I think that's great. So I think that's the part of coaching where the psychology comes in, and knowing your players, because you can't just coach everybody the same.
Right.
It's like raising kids. You don't raise each kid the same, because this kid needs something different than that kid needs. So when I coach, I'm coaching based on what my players need from me. So this player may need something specific, and this player may need something specific, that are two totally different things, because I have to give them some criticism, but my criticism cannot be destructive criticism. It has to be constructive criticism.
Right.
I have to criticize. I have to tell you, hey, you know, there's a better way you could have done that. This kid over here needs me to yell at them.
Yes,
this
sir.
kid needs me to yell at them, but not in public, in private.
Yep.
This kid, I cannot yell at them, I will lose them.
Yeah.
And I have to be able to know that as a smart, tactful coach.
But that's also humility too, on your part, on the coach's part. You know, being able to say, hey, I'm gonna use different types of strategies, not just, you know, hey, I believe in this and that's it, and everyone, you know, this is the shoe, wear it. You know, everyone's like, right? It's like,
but there's that, but you also got to understand that this is 2022 and we're coaching we're coaching a different player now. So in the 80s, it was hardcore. You know that we played sports in the 80s, 70s, and late 70s, early 80s, in mid 90s. Heck, everything is different now. Yeah. You can't, the same way that we coached before, which was out of love. These coaches are coaching out of love, and this is just how I coach. I'm a yeller. I'm loud. Yeah, but are you effective? Are you great in your own mind? Or are you really transformative in your communication, in your messaging? Yeah. And if you're not, then you gotta reevaluate it. Because I got to a point when I was actually coaching teams, like my team, like I was the coach of a team, where I told my assistant coach, I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know if the way I coach, put this way, the way I felt was this. I don't know if the way I need to coach, it was all about me, right? If it was about me, I don't know if the way that I need to coach is suitable for today's athlete. These kids are different. And if I coach the way I need to coach, again, me, I need to coach. Bad language, bad outlook, bad approach. And I know my stuff. I knew what I was doing.
Of course.
They need to listen to me. What do they do? They bugging.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, that's my, then I'm thinking, because if I coach the way I need to coach, they're gonna quit. They're not gonna be able to handle it. So in order for them to be able to stay in the game, I gotta do something. I gotta recreate myself. And then I figured out how to recreate myself as a game coach, as a team coach. And I felt like I could still be tough, but in a different way, in a lot more of a nurturing way. And then I got it. Then I started to understand it's different.
No, it's definitely different, man. We could talk all day. Ever since I've known you a long time, and ever since I've known you, you had like a baseball bat in your hand, and you know, a glove. I mean, so you know, so when did you fall in love with baseball?
So it's funny because I remember the first time I picked up a bat, because we grew up. I was born in Mount Vernon, then I moved to New Rochelle when I was like 6. We were still living in Mount Vernon, and somebody threw away some broken wooden baseball bats. And I remember I had to be at least 5 years old. I had to be about 5. I can see it now as I'm telling you, I can see it. And me and another little boy was outside, and we got the bats out of the garbage can. They were broken, and we started hitting soda cans on the ground. Like, I don't even know how I knew that that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to try to swing at something. I'm not even sure how I knew that. Maybe I saw it on TV. I don't know, but I knew that thing was designed to swing at stuff.
Wow.
So that was the first time I had ever like got my hands on a piece of baseball equipment. And then the second time was in Mount Vernon again. All the kids were playing an organized sandlot game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the bat was like an old Electrolux vacuum cleaner pipe. That was the bat.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember getting one opportunity to hit at that time. And I could see it, I could see that as clear as day. I had to be like 6. But then when we moved to New Rochelle, my mom signed me up for Little League. It was over after that.
Yeah, yeah. No. You was some baseball player.
Yeah.
Hey, so how do we develop that same love? I mean, it seemed like in your instance, it was kind of something that was just, hey, you kind of were drawn to it. How do we develop, that love for baseball in young people?
I think it's in that it's the home. Like, when you meet a kid, if I like, for example, if I meet a kid who's like 12 years old and they got on like a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey, like, this kid ain't never been to Pittsburgh. His somebody in his family made him a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. There's a reason why he loves the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? That's something that you get, you learn. It's nurtured. I had parents that nurtured the sport in me. And that was something, because my dad played baseball, so he was able to kind of play catch and kind of knew a little bit about it. But then again, back then though, there were a lot more blacks playing in the Major League Baseball. So we saw ourselves on TV, Willie Randolph, Chris Chambliss, Reggie Jackson. We saw those guys.
Yes.
Mookie Wilson on the, we saw them.
Yes.
So it was like, yeah, we could do that. But and I'll be straight up with you. Like, even as a going to Northside High School, I was the only black person on the baseball team, because that wasn't the sport that we played. It was either basketball or football. Mm-hmm. And if you play baseball, okay. You know what I'm saying? But it was nothing I could do about it. You can't help what you love. You know what I mean?
It's true. Thank you for that. And I guess, again, like you said, exposure, and again, the parents and you talk a lot about parents in your book, Complete Game. Get it, y'all, Complete Game. Who was your favorite player growing up? Or who's your favorite player all time? Who's your favorite player all time?
That's a good one. So my favorite player all time, baseball player all time, is Bo Jackson.
What's that?
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. Why?
This dude, God. Bo Jackson is arguably the best player who, if he had not gotten hurt, he would have done, in both football and baseball, he would have done tremendous things. Yeah. And he did. I mean, he did.
Yes, he did.
He was a Pro Bowler in football and an all-star in baseball, respectively. Above average throwing arm, above average speed, and above average power. You can't even name anybody who ever had that. Amazing. All three of those things.
Yeah.
So that was like, Bo knows this, Bo knows that.
Yeah, no,
okay. Bo knows Jack.
But Quest, okay. So what's your favorite baseball team?
But so
go.
Bo Jackson was our favorite player all time.
Yes.
But my favorite player, like watching growing up.
Yes.
Because at the time when I was kind of getting into like my 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden, the Mets were hot. They were a hot thing in New York. The Yankees had a spell where they weren't winning.
Yeah.
And so Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden were, I don't even know if I missed any Met games. If they was ever on TV, I'm still watching it.
Yes.
And then where I grew up, our block was the baseball block. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had a lot of kids, very
Yep.
diverse neighborhood,
Yep.
and we if it was a sport, we played it.
Yeah.
Whether we was down at the court playing at Sickles on the basketball court,
Mm-hmm.
right, right where ours is. There's a
Yes,
parking lot
sir.
now. I can't believe
Yes,
it's a
sir.
parking lot right now.
Yes,
It's
sir.
killing me. So
Yes,
we
sir.
played basketball down there. We played rough touch football on tackle on the grass. You know, right around the corner by the hospital, right on Memorial Highway, right in that little patch of grass. We played football there.
Mm-hmm.
Nerf football. You know, we did it all, and then we played, stickball in the back
Mm-hmm.
of the buildings. So we
Wow.
was always doing something. But we were the baseball block though. Everybody on that block, like you had to play baseball. You had no choice.
That's right. So you said the Mets is your favorite baseball team?
No, but growing up, I follow them. I follow them a lot. I don't really watch baseball as much as much anymore.
Okay.
It's a different game. I mean, it's hard. It's hard for me to watch. I feel like I'm old school.
Got it. You talk about how important. I wanted to talk to you about culture as it relates to success, team success. How important is culture to team success?
Yeah. So defining success, I would say, because I think certain teams may define success differently than other teams. Certain teams are out to like, okay, we want to create model athletes who go on to do this and go on to do that, and if we play 500, we're successful. Then you have teams that, if we're not competing for a world championship, we had a failed season. If we don't win a world championship, we had a failed season. So it's different levels of what, and there's differences in how people define we had a successful season. But that goes back to culture also, because that is the culture of that team, right? So, for example, when I've been around championship teams, and won championships, like I don't know if you know, but I coached professional softball with the USSSA Pride, and we had 8 Olympians on the team, 8 U.S. Olympians, and we had 1 Canadian Olympian, and then all the other players that were not Olympians were either conference player of the year in either the Big 12, SEC, or Pac-10. We pretty much had all the conference players of the years on our team, and these are people that just know how to win. Our coaching staff was people who knew how to win and knew how to develop. So it was a really good atmosphere, and it was a great culture, right? So they say culture never graduates.
Okay.
But culture has to be created too. It has to be established. Culture is on purpose, because if you don't, you'll have a negative, and you'll have a bad culture. So culture is usually, so I put it like this: culture must be implemented and must come from the players. And I'm gonna tell you why. A bad team, the leadership comes from the coaches. A good team, the leadership comes from the a bad team, the leadership comes from the coaches, but a great team, the leadership comes from the players. They have to hold each other accountable.
Is that are you talking about the buy-in in a sense? Perhaps a system is in place, and the players buy into that, and they become
the buy-in definitely comes from the players. Because what I'm learning now as I talk to like different people that have won and champions, I'm realizing that players can bond and come together based on how much they hate their coach.
Wow.
And I've heard championship teams say that to me. Like, talk to me. Like, you guys got over the championship. You guys were up 1, best of 3. How'd you lose that game? You guys were good. And you start listening to them. We're talking 10 years later. I'm talking to veterans now. They have perspective. They're over it. Like, believe it or not, we were a close-knit team, and we were bonded, and we had a great culture in spite of our coaches. And in fact, we bonded over the fact that we did not like our coaches. I'm talking NCAA, D1, championship, that level. And then because I didn't realize that was a thing. But that's a culture. So it's always going to come from the players, because you could say what you want if you're a coach. I have this culture. This is our culture. Nope. Your culture is what the players say it is.
Wow. No, that's really good. And actually, I think you read it, you write about that in the book, in a sense of dealing with what you are dealt with. Like some players, sometimes kind of complain about, everything, complain about this, but it's like, how are you going to take the environment that you're in and make the most of it? I mean, you kind of did this.
So that instance that you're talking about,
yes, sir.
And I didn't name names purposely because that was a real thing. It was a real player.
Right.
She was playing at a really good college, like a really top level school, and she was a softball player, and she was complaining her freshman year about everything. And then usually what happens is the people who are complaining, they'll find 2 or 3 more people to complain with them. Now that's usually because of playing time. Mostly 99 times out of 100, it's playing time that causes the riff or the little clique that's anti-government or anti-coaching staff or this, what's going on here? It's not right. It's not fair. Whatever. That's them. Like they got their own little clique. They hang out together.
Yeah.
So when she got to the point where she evolved and she was able to contribute more, it was only when she stopped complaining about her situation.
Man,
and that's a true story. Like it happens every year. It happens.
Yep. So you see that, America, Rob Cruz, a consultant. I mean, the stuff that we're talking about is good for the baseball diamond success, but also life. So life, you're doing so much, man. I wanted to kind of give you an opportunity. What's next for you? You got your hands in a lot of different things. What's going on in your world now? What's next?
So right now, I'm diving into learning more and more about cryptocurrency and NFTs, and specifically sports NFTs.
Okay.
And for me, it's about, one, it's knowledge and being on the cutting edge and just kind of being in front of things that are happening instead of chasing behind things that have already happened.
Got it.
Which is kind of my model. Like I try to do that. So I've managed to partner with a couple of different companies that are really doing some nice things, some real positive things. And I'm in the learning phase now of how sports NFTs work, why they work, why they're going to be important in the next. I mean, I believe this here to stay. I believe it's like kind of like buying stuff online. Everybody was like, oh, I'm not buying nothing online. I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Or phones. A cell phone. I'm never gonna get a cell phone. I remember that. I'm never getting a cell phone. They're taking over. The computers are taking over. So it's like I just laugh because we people who are anti this, anti that, anti tech, anti future, they sound like how our parents and grandparents sounded 20 years ago.
Yes, sir.
When AOL first came out, we was getting online. You couldn't call nobody because the line was busy. So, I mean, that's just so I'm really excited, about that, and because I got some really, really great ideas, and I got a really great team that I'm putting together right now in terms of design and digital art, 3D artwork. International team. I got team India, Pakistan, Nigeria, some artists, and we're going to do some things in the sports NFT space with some really big players. So I'm excited about it, and looking forward to what the future holds.
Well, it sounds exciting. Again, you do a lot of different things, and that sounds really exciting. How can our viewership, stay in touch with you? If they have a team, or maybe someone that needs some consultant work, or you also have products. You have gloves and other things that you sell, and so how can people stay in touch with you?
So the website is cg.plus. That's www.cg.plus. And on social media, on all platforms, it's at Complete Game. That's okay. At Complete Game on all social media platforms.
Got
and just hit me up, and if there's some way that I can.
Well, no, I'm definitely gonna hit you up. No, I'm definitely gonna hit you up. This has been really, really exciting. I mean, we could talk
Oh, yeah.
all night about sports and coaching and next level thinking and mindset. No, it was really, really fascinating. So I thank you so much for coming on the show. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to tell our audience? Anything else you want to say? The floor is yours.
I think, you know, as we move as a society forward, mindset is important, and I'm big on mindset, right? So if we can be, and this is how thoughts work, right? Thoughts work like this. Thoughts move. You know, they come and they keep moving, and they're gone. Right? They come in, they, you know, but if we entertain them and we have a conversation with those thoughts, especially the negative ones, that's when we get in trouble.
Wow.
So learning how to do that, you know, managing our thoughts, because you can't control them, but you can manage them. One of the things that we do with my athletes is I teach them how to have more positive self-talk. So self-talk is the key to maintaining sustained mindset throughout a game, sustained level of positive focus. Because most people are negative in their self-talk. They beat themselves up. Oh, why'd you do that? That was, you know, they beat themselves up. They don't. You should talk to yourself the same way you talk to the person that you love the most.
No, it's so true.
I think we're tough on ourselves. So I think if we could be more positive, I think we're good.
No, actually, to Rob's point, there's a point in his book where he gives his players how to flip it, how to change it. You know, I suck. I'm the best. I can't hit. I mash. I just isn't my day. No, I can handle this. And I totally believe in that. You know, I just, you know, wrote my first book, Tweet. 365 thought-provoking tweet to ignite your brilliance and power, and I get into that as well. So, you know, I'm you know, I'm a proponent of that as well, man. So thank you so much, man. I got one more question for you, though.
Yes.
Will you come back on the show?
Of course. Whatever you want me to come on, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it.
You heard it, America. You heard it, America.
You got to come on my podcast, though.
Oh, okay, you got it.
Like ASAP. I'm talking about like ASAP, like before March is over.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We're gonna get you on the podcast, and we're gonna go into, because what I really want to get into,
yes, sir,
is, and I want to get into that with you, the spiritual dynamics.
Ooh, love it.
Of athletic performance.
Love it.
That's going to be something that I want to be attacking in 2022 and beyond, because I believe that it's something that a lot of athletes don't talk about until their career is over. But they go back in retrospect, and they're like, a lot of them, they'll get surface. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Like that's come on, that's surface.
But I mean, you
talk about it. Let's go in. I want to go in.
No. I'm there with you, man. But you always hear somebody, you know, sometimes when they put the mic in the hand after the game and they thank God, but you don't. I mean, you don't know whether or not that's surface or whether that was a true walk. You know, that they were walking out. So no,
but there's a why. If it's real, if it's authentic, what's the why? Tell me the why. Tell us the why. Share it with us, because that might inspire me to take it even more seriously. Yes, sir, without a doubt, and confront my own doubts. Without a doubt. Actually, quite honestly, that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. But I also have to know that I can talk about why I'm in this position and why I am who I am, only by the grace of God, right? If I can't get into that, I don't really necessarily want to be involved, because that's me. That's who I am, you know. And so anytime, you know, there was a event, or, you know, if they wanted to kind of pigeonhole you and say you can't say this, you can't, all right, you know, I can't do it, because, you know, that's me all day, every day, you know. So I'm there for you, bro. All right, man. Thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me.
Preach.
Inform